This is Michael Popok, so it must be Legal AF After Dark. Matt Gaetz has a stubborn problem, and that is the facts that are being developed by the House Ethics Committee, which is bipartisan, are all pointing towards finding that he committed sex crimes against an underage girl. That, according to a new release, if you will, by that House Ethics Committee, that said, while we're not looking at some aspects of public corruption that we were looking at 3 or 4 years ago against Matt Gaetz, that theory that he committed sex crimes against an underage girl in Florida, for which one of his buddies that was his partner in crime, Joel Greenberg, is in federal jail, is not going away and is going to be continued to be investigated. We break it all down for you on Legal AF. Take a listen. So let's talk about, all kidding aside, something really serious, which we've got a member of Congress who just can't seem to shake the allegations that he raped a girl and did it outside of the country, plied her with drugs and alcohol. And there's already a person that's serving time for doing the exact same thing, who was his wingman and his buddy, Joel Greenberg, who was the Seminole, Florida County tax assessor, and is cooperating and is a cooperating witness. That's why I was so surprised when the Biden administration / Merrick Garland's Department of Justice closed the book on the investigation. I don't exactly know why. Maybe from a prosecutor's standpoint, you can talk about what they may have learned during their prosecution, what they may have learned about the victim witness or something.
Where did the assault occur?
Well, he's getting the out of state crime problem. I think it was in the Caribbean. I think it started in Florida and ended up in the Caribbean. Yeah. Okay, you'll dive. So that's it. So as we said at the top of the show, and I'll just let you do the whole thing. What you got? The bipartisan ethics committee for the House. They've said that they're not looking into other abuse of power, corruption type investigations for Matt Gaetz. There were a number of them, but they are focused tenaciously on this one about the sex act with a minor, abuse of a minor, and the drinking and the drugs and the things related to that. They've had testimony given to them. I think the victim has testified to them, and they're not letting this go. Go ahead, Karen. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think if this occurred outside of the United States, in the Caribbean somewhere, it's just a jurisdictional problem for the Department of Justice. They're not going to have jurisdiction over it. And unfortunately, with sexual assault cases, those have to be prosecuted where they occurred. I suppose if she traveled from the United States to the Caribbean in order to have sex, that is actually a charge they could bring. But maybe there's an issue with the witness. Maybe she's got credibility issues. Maybe she doesn't want to cooperate. Maybe she doesn't want to testify. Who knows, right? We don't know why. Either way, there is he has an ethical problem, and the ethics committee of the House started this investigation in April of 2021, and they were investigating illicit drug use, that he accepted improper gifts, sexual misconduct, that he gave special privileges and favors to people he had personal relationships with. He sought to obstruct government investigations, of his conduct and bribes. And then that he showed improper photos on the House floor. And it's just, to me, what's shocking is that Trump celebrates this man, that Trump reveres him. And Ben did a whole hot take on this and played the clips of Donald Trump just saying incredible things about him, how he really just, like I said, reveres him. And it's just shocking to me. And as we were prepping for this, I was like, God, Matt Gaetz just looks like somebody. I can't put my finger on it. And so, Salty, can you pull up the pictures that I think he might look like? Yeah, he looks like the villain from The Incredibles, right? I think his name is Syndrome, but don't you agree? He also looks like the Heat Miser from the old Christmas. The old Christmas show from back in the day. So anybody who knows the Heat Miser, you'll see that Matt Gaetz looks just like him with the eyebrows and the hair. Anyway, but
I think it's Frosty the Snowman, no?
Was that? Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was from Frosty the Snowman, the Heat Miser. Yeah. Salty, you can find it. Just look for it right now, and you'll find it, and then just pull it up when you can. It's from like the 70s or something.
So on what, before you move on, no, I mean, I did do a little. So the jurisdictional thing's not the issue because the sex acts allegedly took place in Florida, and that's why Joel Greenberg is in jail. I thought there was also that they took some of the women girls outside of the country through the Caribbean, through Miami. But no, apparently it was in hotels all over Florida, arranged by Joel Greenberg. And the reporting at the time as to why, again, Barr starts it under Trump, but Biden's Department of Justice ends it. They said they just didn't think they can make a strong enough case against him. I think that's where your prosecutor instincts come into play. Even though they had a cooperating Joel Greenberg, they had the payments, they had the mobile payment apps were used. Either I think Cash App, of all things, was used to pay these people. But they just couldn't find that link back that they needed. Although there is, the current testimony is that the victim has currently is cooperating with the committee, and that Joel Greenberg, even though he's in jail, and through his lawyer, has supplied documents. I would imagine the Cash App receipts and other things, and text messages and emails, which I'm sure don't paint Matt Gaetz in the right light. My sense is this really truly bipartisan committee is going to find that he is going to make an ethics recommendation, which is what they can do. It's a committee, so they ultimately have to go through the full House for censure. And or for impeachment and or for removal, but you have to start with the House committee, right, Karen?
Yeah, I mean the statement that they released yesterday, which just this very long statement. It said, pursuant to Committee Rule 7, the Committee on Ethics determined to release the following statement. On April 9th, 2021, the committee announced it had initiated a review into allegations that Representative Gaetz may have engaged in sexual misconduct and or illicit drug use, shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor, misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, and or accepted bribe, improper gratuity, or impermissible gifts in violation of House rules, laws, or other standards of conduct. And then it goes on and says, we deferred from a request of the Department of Justice. In May of 2023, the DOJ reauthorized that they could defer. They reauthorized this investigation, and the DOJ withdrew its deferral request. And what they said was there's been a significant and unusual amount of public reporting on this committee's activities. So much of that reporting has been inaccurate. The committee's investigations are conducted confidentiality, but the committee's confidentiality rules do not prohibit witnesses from disclosing information about the committee's requests, conversations, et cetera. And so then he says, they go on to say Representative Gaetz has denied everything, and notwithstanding the difficulty in obtaining information from Representative Gaetz and others, the committee has spoken with more than a dozen witnesses, issued 25 subpoenas, and reviewed thousands of pages of documents. Based on its review to date, the committee has determined that certain of the allegations merit continued review. And we also identified additional allegations that merit review. Accordingly, the committee is reviewing allegations with respect to Matt Gaetz that he may have engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, accepted improper gifts, dispensed special privileges and favors to individuals with whom he had a personal relationship, and sought to obstruct government investigations and conduct. And so, that was pretty astounding that they would release a video, or I should say a statement like this. And so I thought that was pretty incredible. And if they, after doing all of this and interviewing all these witnesses, if there wasn't something there, they would not have wanted to correct the record here before an election to make sure that everybody knew that Matt Gaetz is still being investigated for underage sex, drugs, and misuse, literally misuse of his power as a member of Congress. So I thought it was a pretty dramatic statement that was released.
An important one. And, you got Matt Gaetz who's running around on his own social media feeds denying everything. He knew this was coming, so he did like a preemptive strike, like, the McCarthy chasing after me, an example of Russia Russia, and it's just word salad. It's like the kitchen magnets, kitchen poetry magnets, where they just throw shit up on the wall and they just take the pages out of order sometimes from Donald Trump, and they just use these phrases that make no sense. They sequence them together. I mean, it sounds like English, but it really isn't. It's just bullshit. And so that's where we're at. But the good news is that while we were doing the overview, Salty found Karen's cherished photo comparison. There it is.
Come on. Don't you think he looks like the Heat Miser?
Yes, he looks more like the Incredibles guy, but I see the hair.
Look at those eyebrows. It's the eyebrows too that get me. It's those pointy eyebrows and the hair and the.
He's almost too easy to caricature. I mean, if I was a cartoonist, I'd be like, oh, this is so easy. He looks like 1,000. Somebody said he looked like, I forget. He gets attacked a lot for his appearance, which I know he thinks he's good looking, and that's the problem.
No, he looks evil. He truly looks evil to me.
Welcome back. That's a show we call Legal AF for a reason. We do it on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this YouTube channel for the MeidasTouch Network. Free subscribe to the MeidasTouch Network and help them get to 3 million free subscribers, and then you can pick up Legal AF on all major podcast platforms. We curate the top 4 or 5 stories at the intersection of law and politics and bring it to you with our unique type of analysis. Lawyers talking about things they know what they're talking about at the intersection of law and politics in courtrooms where they practice. How refreshing. And we do it like that. Like I said, Wednesday, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this YouTube channel. If you know all about Legal AF, I just want to take a moment to thank you for being part of our growing, exponentially growing audience. If you take that bite-sized version of Legal AF, send it off to people in your life and ask them to become part of our audience. We don't have a marketing department, so we need help. If you don't know what I'm talking about or who I am, I'm Michael Popok. That was Legal AF, and we invite you to join us Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on this YouTube channel and then on all audio podcast platforms. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.